Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Here to try a couple of things. Last few days, week, a lot of stuff has happened. But today, this video, or I might add some more, so I may do a second video to talking about like updating some stuff. But this is about the Dirt Poor Robin's new album, which Queen of the Night, the soundtrack, film. Long story short, if you haven't been following along, which I imagine a lot of people have not, but the people that love Dirt Poor Robins and even a lot of the Deer Hunter fans that do know that they released, I think it was five or six, like episodes of this black and white, silent with music, retro styled sci-fi story film series, and toward the end of, I don't know, it was like November, December. I think it was December of 2021, all the way up through, it was either May or June. I think it was June. It ended. They were doing like an episode every month or two, and they put up a couple songs for each episode on their Bandcamp page that were in the episode, and then they finished the last episode and all tied the story together. But then eventually, a few months ago, they pulled all the episodes. The music's still on their Bandcamp page, but they announced that they wanted to submit the film, all of the episodes together as one complete film, Queen of the Night, to some film festivals, I think, and they were going to eventually share it on YouTube and release it. And the date was November 15th, 2022, which is today, Tuesday. And they were going to release it as a soundtrack album, which isn't surprising. So they did that. Technically, they did it like last night. I saw it. I checked it about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. So then again, it was East Coast time, so maybe it was already whatever, midnight. But I already knew most of the songs. There were two additional songs that they showed, I want to say, little clips from a few weeks back on their YouTube channel. But and those two songs were the first two songs actually on the soundtrack, and happened to be Babylon and Penelope Graves. It happened to be two of the best songs on the record, especially Penelope Graves. So I've listened to it about 3 times. I mean, having known those songs, but I didn't listen to the songs from the episodes, even though I bought them, all that much over the last basically 12 months, almost 11 months, whatever it is. Off and on. I really, the one track I listen to frequently, which is still the biggest banger of an album that has definitely a few bangers, a few really good songs, is the song Enchante. It is just so good. It's one of their best songs. It's so catchy. It's playful, ragtimey, very kind of, it's definitely got its twists and turns and very memorable, almost danceable. It's a little bit like Fancy Pants, I think it is, from Ben Sinister, but like doing that and make it more proggy and just a little bit up. I mean, I love Ben Sinister. I like that song, but this Enchante is just, it's an earworm. It's little noodling, jazz noodling in the middle, and just the hook you can't get out of your head, and it's just the rhythm, the percussion. It's so good. It is so good. I said this when I heard it. It was, I can't remember what episode. It was like the second or third episode. It came out early in the year, like February maybe. Said that's probably the best song I've heard of the year. And talking songs, I'm going to do songs of the year. I'm not making a list at this point yet. It's hard to argue that there's been a better song than an Enchante. It's so good. But the rest of the soundtrack is awesome. They're going to be uploading the complete black and white film that I know I've seen it all, of course. I saw the last episode. I watched all the episodes only a couple times, but I see it again. But it's tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time, I believe it is, on YouTube. Dirt Poor Robins, Queen of the Night. So, but I mean, just listening to it today, I had to go out and, long story short, I had to go back to the computer place I went to on Saturday because I got the wrong thing. I just came back a little while ago and tested it out, and it worked, thankfully. So it's from my work, but I, gave me an excuse to, go driving for whatever it was, an hour and change. So I got a couple hours. I got to listen to Queen of the Night about 3 times. So, and it's, I mean, I'm a fanboy. I love them. People have never heard of this band. and there's a lot of people that have probably checked them out that didn't care for them, but I've fallen in love with them basically almost from the get go back in 2017. 2017? It was early 2018 actually. I remember that. And to me, they really can't do anything wrong right now. They're one of a few core bands or artists right now that keep putting out music that's just like, yep, awesome, great, just give me more, give me as much as you can do. Because I mean, I don't know when their next record's going to come out. This is like their trilogy between the Ravenlocks. So the Ravenlocks was 3 albums technically, but they released it as a complete because it was 3 parts. 3 acts rather. The Ravenlocks, and then in 2020, of course, they after those EPs they released for Dead Horse Alaska, the Dead Horse complete album, and now Queen of the Night. It's like these guys are on a roll now. I would have said the same thing about Foals to an extent, and their new album is what it is. But anyway, I mean, just as an early review, I want to see the film again tonight. This is my review, I guess it's my review. I want to get a physical copy if and when they do release this as either CD or vinyl. Probably they will do that, but if I had to guess, it might not be 6 months to a year from now. Who knows? Penelope Graves is awesome. Enchante, and then the track Falling Upwards into Love. There's some really mesmerizing part at the beginning of that, and then it gets really kind of busy and layered. Those are my three like go-tos at this point early on hearing this record. I don't remember that track, but I mean it probably was in one of the the episodes before, and it's in the film that's going to be up. But the rest of Last Goodbye is playful and fun, and it's not what I would call a classic album ender. But again, this is a film soundtrack, so it's not like all big and. Dirk Robbins can be big and epic and grandiose and very what's the word? Very things can be very done up and classic and classical in some ways. With a lot of their music, a lot of the music has strings and horns and stuff like that, and a lot of layers, a lot of vocal arrangement, different vocal parts. That song, while it does have different vocal parts, is more. It's like that's the end of the world, and we're having a party, basically. It's not taking itself too seriously in a way, which I appreciate. At the same time, I kind of, because Dirk Robbins has done this before, where they have an album or like a point where you think, okay, the next song, and it just kind of goes into like levity. It's still a decent track. There's another song on here, and I want to say it's Come Take a Trip in My Airship. Is a little, I wouldn't call it cheesy. You have a lot of the children's choir, children's vocals. It's the subject, like the lyrics and stuff. And I remember that the episode I think they talked about, because some of it he finds like a way to fly into space, the main character in the film, Queen of the Night, to find, the queen or whatever, this vision he had when he was a kid, seeing this basically this, I don't know, she's a witch, she's a queen, she's a, whatever, someone spiritual calling to him. Anyway, I'm trying to spoil the film if you haven't seen it, but I remember that parts of it, but that it's all right. I mean, I don't hate it. I just rest of this record. I mean, Babylon, the opening track, a lot of that sounds almost like Enchante Part 2. That was it's in a similar key, and some of the rhythm is kind of similar, but it's also different. Let's see here. Downpour is nice. Carousel. Gambit of Night extended. So the version in the film and in the episode was not as long. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the rest of this record sort of fits with the record, the soundtrack per se. But Combe Jesu, that one, I think hearing it a few times, I'm just growing a little bit on me. So I mean, again, I'm a fanboy, so my own bias. But if you like progressive rock, obviously, you like modern music that has a retro feel, I would tell you either to listen to a few of these songs or the soundtrack on their Bandcamp or on Spotify, and or check out the film, or check out part of the film, I mean, I'm not huge into black and white silent film, the Charlie Chaplins and whatnot, but Dirk Robbins is always it's not the only thing. They've always had like a strong vaudeville retro, roaring 20s, 30s, 40s kind of with phonograph. What are those things called when you got the vocals where you're it's with distortion and it's gramophone vocals, whatever you want to call it. with like a lot of chamber instruments, like clarinet. They've always had those elements in their music. It's a contrast in some ways to Dead Horse, which I think was their most forward in some ways sonically, although there's some retro stuff in that too. But this album is the large part of it, and when you watch the film, it fits the film being it done in black and white intentionally, and in a silent film, kind of silent film style, that era. It fits, although I was a little concerned that it might have actually been too much. Like, well, okay, we're just listening to music from the 20s and 30s here. It's like the jazz of that time, the pop jazz, that kind of stuff. And there's definitely some guitar on here, which is really nice, really tasteful. It sounds like jazz of that era. I don't know who you, Speedy West or some of those early guitarists that I'm not talking about Django Reinhardt necessarily, but those guitarists that play Wes Montgomery rather. I don't remember. Anyway, there's definitely there's a lot of music of that era, but it's not 100%. I was a little concerned about that. I think that track "Falling Upwards into Love" starts out kind of in that vein, but then it goes into like the big layered symphonic Dirt Poor Robins music that I love. So anyway, have you checked out Queen of the Night from Dirt Poor Robins yet, or any of the songs just on Shantae? What is your take on it? I'd love to hear about that. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm going to do another video just to kind of go over a couple more topics that are coming up that I've been working on. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.